Thank you. Is anyone here from the GEMS program? If you don't mind coming up, thank you. And then from Budget and Finance and the Department of Education. Thank you. Nice to see you again. We're working hard to keep the schools cool, and I totally support that. What I do have problems with is the actual GEMS program itself. And my research has shown that there have evidently been a total of 3 loans during the time the program's been in operation. 3 loans, that's it. And yet during that same time, there's been $1 million spent on administrative expenses. I'm not sure if Budget and Finance oversees this program or what's going to happen, but when we're talking that the program loaned out a total of 107,000 is what I understand. My concern is I think that GEMS has not been run well. $1 million to place out 3 loans is pretty pathetic. I mean, that's may rank the top of the pathetic list of what the state has done. So what assurance is there that if the department is going to be able to tap into this to get the money to cool the schools, that we won't run into this same inept bureaucracy that has prevented the money getting out to the consumers that needed to cool their properties? So how are you all feeling confident about that? Don't look to GEMS, I'm looking to you two. What comfort level do you have that if a measure like this goes through, that it's going to work in the way to get those schoolrooms cooled?
Representative Thielen, we're very confident that if this measure is passed, GEMS will loan DOE and BNF $100 million, and DOE will use that to cool classrooms and implement energy efficiency measures.
How confident are you that it's not going to get clogged down? I mean, look at the track record. We go out to the public, the rate-paying public that is being assessed a fee every month on their utility bills, and we say, here, we have GEMS, it's a great program. Well, it should be, yes, but we've had 3 loans and $1 million, over $1 million in administrative expenses. So I don't want to see our classrooms be sweltering boxes and continue in that way. If we, I mean, we've got to get the money to someplace in the department or in Budget and Finance that actually works, that knows how to get projects through to completion faster than this GEMS program is done. Now, how are you going to do that? And maybe if I could get HSTA up here too, because they're concerned about cooling the classrooms, not about having bureaucracy. So how are you going to get it through if this bill makes it? How fast are you going to get those classrooms cool with this money?
Okay, so the Department of the Attorney General believes this is an appropriate
Can you, if you could speak
funds.
into the mic, because
Yeah.
we're on a...
The Department of the Attorney General has told us this is an appropriate use of funds. Bond Counsel has also determined that we can use the money this way. The past difficulties with the GEMS program, I don't believe have any bearing over this current proposal. And that's why I'm looking to Tara, because I'm not sure why the money was not loaned out over the past year. And that in part is why we're looking to this pot of money, because we believe it's an appropriate and good use of existing resources.
So do I turn to the Department of Education? You have a background in the military, I believe, and you're able to get things done. I mean, I applaud you with the kind of work that you accomplish, how are you going to bring that same dynamism through to the Department of Education so the teachers don't sit in the hot boxes and because there's a bureaucratic stumbling block? I don't
Yes, ma'am.
see anything in this bill that mandates fast action, and I'd like to see that. And how can you make that happen?
Representative Thielen, I would say within hours of the governor coming out with his announcement that he did, it has stated the state address. We already had people trying to figure out how we would solve this problem. Again, the DOE's position is somewhat agnostic when it comes to where and how the revenues are going to be brought to the table. We do stand ready, though, to meet the governor's goal that he stated of 1,000 schools, or 1,000 classrooms, air-conditioned within this year, but by December of this year. Again, we stand ready to do that. There are some unknowns out there right now, just as far as if the industry is capable of producing that, but we are actually having a meeting tomorrow with many of our industry partners, prepping them and getting them ready to go. So again, we're taking this, the DOE is taking this very seriously, and we are still, again, working through our plan, but we're utilizing all the resources that we have within the industry at this point. But again, as far as where we're getting the funding to do so, again, we're gonna remain.
Then I want to turn to the teachers, and if you could respond, what kind of comfort level do you have that if we pass a measure like this, that the cooling will actually reach the classrooms before, within a reasonable period of time? I consider a reasonable period of time 30 days.
Well, that would be difficult. I know that Assistant Superintendent Carlson's been working really hard on this issue, and although I probably drive him nuts at times with this issue, I know that he's been working really hard. The biggest concern we have is we have 7,000 classrooms. With this $100 million, the question is how much can we do it per classroom? Representative Lee, there's a school that just got it done in Enchanted Lake Elementary this week that with a financing package was able to do it for $5,000 or $6,000. If we can somehow see doing that, that would be you could do it for $35 million potentially for all the classrooms in that case. Using split AC systems could be a cheap way of doing it. Using on-the-grid AC was done at Waianae High School and Campbell High School, and that was about $20,000. Even at $20,000 per, we still can get, hopefully as many of these classrooms as possible. My fear is, and I know Dan is trying to work not to do this, the old way was this massive by-school upgrade that would cost over $100,000 per classroom. And so, I do want to see that we are being creative and innovative and making sure that we can use this $100 million to get the biggest bang for our buck, so that within 30 days, I agree, would never happen. But I'd like to see if in 1,000 classrooms by the end of the year would be great, but also to have a plan to make sure that in a couple years that all of our hot classrooms are air conditioned.
Okay, well then, the way this measure would work, or does it need to be amended so it can go directly to Department of Education, not through the bureaucracy of the GEMS program? Because we know that the GEMS program has not operated in the way that we had anticipated it to operate. So tell me where the dollars go.
Well, the dollars are with the GEMS program, so we need to appropriate money to the DOE so that the DOE can use the GEMS proceeds. Yeah.
So you're going to have a bureaucracy on top of a bureaucracy before we can even get to the point of anything going out to the school. That doesn't make sense. So does the bill need to be amended to look at the track record and say three projects, 3 residential projects within a year at a cost of over $1 million in administrative costs? I mean, do we want to continue that kind of a track, or do we want this bill to be amended so it goes much more directly to get out to the schools?
I'm not sure what you're suggesting or how the bill would be amended.
Is there anyone from the governor's administration that's here that would be able to speak to that, to how it could be much more of a direct shot of the funding?
We believe we put together a proposal that is workable and can get the money out quickly.
So bureaucracy to bureaucracy, and then maybe to the schools and the students. That's not very encouraging.
if-
Thank you, Chair. That's all I have.
If
Thank
I
you.
could just make a comment, I mean, currently